Okay, so I'm making a quick video about question number 4 in the worksheet, and I will extend the due date for that question specifically. So if you want to resubmit, please email me your submission for that question. But if you don't want to, that's fine. After watching this, you feel like you did it right. But so that question asks you to make your own dichotomous key using 4 photos of different organisms. And I'm going to do a similar exercise here with these different photos. And the organisms I'm trying to differentiate between are a moth, a dragonfly, a damselfly, and a butterfly. And so I'm going to go over some of their traits and features that I can maybe see in the pictures or maybe that I know already. So the first one I wrote down was that their wings are, when they're at rest, they fold over the body. And what I mean by that is in this picture of the moth, the body is over here and the wings are folding over it. And then a different way that um, wings can fold when at rest are behind the body. Okay, and an example of that is this damselfly. They fold their wings behind their body, kind of like if you were to put your hands together, um, like for clapping, and you put them behind your back. That's similar to how the wings fold. And butterflies actually do this as well. This butterfly is probably trying to regulate its temperature by opening its wings. So you will often not see butterflies pictured like this, but the reason that you see them in people love to see the inside coloration. The inside is usually much more showy than the outside. So that is why you'll see people trying to take pictures like this. But and if you're out or during a hike, you'll probably see them with their wings closed up behind their body. So that's another feature. And then I'm noticing with the dragonfly as well that they actually hold their wings out. So at rest, they're held away from the body. Say out slash away. All right, so those are some features that I'm noticing. And another feature I'm noticing is the difference in um, sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing the antennae on this moth over here. This moth must have very modified antennae because usually they're feathered. And so I'm actually just going to draw what moth antennae usually look like on here. All right, let's pretend that this moth has a feathered antennae. So with these guys, that now the dragonflies actually do have antennae, but they're very small. Let's see if we can find them. I think that's them right there. So very small. And I think the same is going to be true for the damselfly. Let's move over and see if we can check that out. Yep, and there they are, super tiny. But the difference often between moths and butterflies are that they have feathered antennae or these clubbed antennae. So I'm going to write that down for the moths. Clubbed antennae for butterflies. Feathered for moths. And I'll also write this. Moths, butterflies, and damselflies. And these are dragonflies. Okay, and now some other features that I know, and one that we can see here, are something different in their mouth parts. So I'm seeing, oh, that you guys hopefully remember that butterflies have these proboscis and sotomas, which you can't see here. So we're going to write that down. Remember, that's like a straw. And so this is going to be moths and butterflies. I'm just going to circle these here so you can see them. Okay, so I'm starting to come up with a good list of traits that I might be able to use in my dichotomous key. All right. Okay, and related to the mouth parts, we might also think of another trait that we know is different is that some of these are predators, while some of these are not predators. They're nectar feeding, right? And as I already mentioned, the nectar feeders are the moths and butterflies, and the predators are the damsel and dragonflies. Okay, and so I've actually popped a couple of pictures in here of the damselfly and dragonfly mouth parts here, so you can see how different they are and that these are super uh, useful for predators, right? So here's a damselfly with a very large aphid in its mouth. So you can see, like, compared to the size of its head, these guys can really open their mouths, like unhinging their jaws, which we talked a little bit about in lecture. So you can see the difference there between our proboscis, little straw-like mouth part on the butterflies and moths, and the different mouth parts on the damselflies and dragonflies. So we're going to say for this feature, large labium. Okay, so I have a really long list here that, of course, is a little bit hard to read because it's in my handwriting. So I will clean that up a little bit. Let me get a new slide out over here. Okay, so one thing I wanted to do was to do a couple iterations of this so you can see what this might look like if you use different, so this can be individual to how you do it, right? So I'm going to try to figure out then how to help people identify these organisms by a key that I use. And one way that I introduced this topic was using a flowchart. So we might start using a flowchart here by breaking up these groups of insects. So if I have some big feature I could use to break them up, I might use the mouth parts first and say predatory parts, extendable labium, present. Come on. No idea what just happened, but we'll roll with it. Okay. And that's a question mark, present. So yes or no. So if we say yes, we then have to think about ways that we can distinguish between the damselfly and the dragonfly. Oh, sorry, they're not folded. Wings extending out from body. So that would be the dragonfly. And this would be the damselfly. And then if we go over here to, are we absent? Are the predatory mouth parts absent? Yes. Do we have, we could actually use the same one. So wings folding behind body. That's not behind, is it? Let's see. Behind or over. And we know this is the moth and this is the butterfly, for the most part. There's some minor exceptions for those, but in general, that's what we're looking at. So that's one way I could do this, right? And then if I were to put this into a dichotomous key, I would do 1. Okay, and if you remember, the way that this works is that you then go to a number. So we're going to go to number 2, and that means since if you selected the predatory, then we have to, oh, come on, fine. Sorry, the PowerPoint's being a little bit of a pain, but nectar feeding, they're supposed to feed you there, of course. But now I have to talk about the dragonflies. So now I have to say wings. So if they're folded behind the body, we're a damselfly. If they're extending away from the body, they are going to be the dragonfly. Okay, and so then if we go to number 3, we have to write wings again. And it's the same actually. But instead the answers are different, right? So if we're folded behind the body, we've got a butterfly. If they're folded over the body, we have a moth. Okay, so that's one way we could do this. And usually you saw on the keys, these are bolded. I don't know why PowerPoint's not letting me edit this, but it's not. It's being very weird, but you get the point. So that's one way we could do this. And another way, just to give you some examples here, okay, so if we wanted to use something else, we could start with the antennae. Go to 2 and forgot to put the number here, so this is number 1. Okay, so then if we go to 2, we can put that. So we're going to be talking about the dragonflies here. So we could say, we could also talk about their body size because let's say, actually we'll say the abdomen. So damselflies have much thinner abdomen than dragonflies. I'm sorry, yeah. So this would be our number 2. And then number 3, we're going to distinguish a way that the antennae are different between the butterfly and the moth. So I can say clubbed antennae, and that is going to be a butterfly. Or we could say feathered antennae, and that is going to be a moth. So that's yet another way that I could do this. And there are even more, right? Because we know of many different features that we could start to break these up, right? So these answers will be individual to how you think about it, but this is just an example of how you can go about these kinds of things, making these dichotomous keys. So if you have further questions, please let me know and email me or to set up an appointment, or you can email me the questions and I can try to answer it over email as well. But hopefully this helped, and I will see you all on Tuesday.